Hello everybody and welcome back to the Leeds Lens. In this video, we're going to be looking at the latest rumours in the Leeds United space. We've got James Justin updates. Looks like that one's going to get online, which if you watched yesterday's show, you'll know I did predict it. So, maybe listen a bit more because I'm seem to be getting this stuff right. No, I'm joking. There's also updates regarding Noah Okafor. There's potentially of a price tag given regarding Noah Okafor. There's loads of Italian reports. We're going to get into talking about that. So a bit there. Obviously, we're going to have to mention the Meslier exit as well. Please, Meslier, please leave the club. We've had enough of you now. You should have left the year we got relegated. I sort of get why you stayed, but please, the time might be going. Although they are saying £5 to £6 million for that. If we get 5 to 6 million for him, no matter what business we've done in the window, that will be the best business of the window, because there is no way in a million years for me that Meslier is worth 5 to 6 million. I think if we get half that, you'd probably be all right with it. To be honest, if we get nothing and we just get him off the bill, I'd probably be all right with that too. But yeah, Meslier as well exits, and they're also going to clarify in a few updates as well. Nico González, as you can see on the scanning scale, on my left-hand side, your right-hand side. I've still got as a 2, probably not, should be there anymore. Atletico looking at him. Bilal Khannouss looks like he's obviously release clause expired, so no, damn it. The transformative sign, in my opinion, looks like it probably won't be happening. Oh dear. And of course, we're going to be talking a bit more about sort of why we need a number 10 and that sort of thing as well. So yeah, and a few other options in the number 10 role. But yeah, let's start with the main story, which was broke this morning by Ben Jacobs and Alex Crook. Obviously, yesterday it was mentioned by Beren Cross in The Athletic as well. But it looks like Leeds are in advanced negotiations for James Justin. Do you know what it is? I can't criticise this signing. I really, really like it. But to clarify the story, the truth is that Leeds United are in advanced talks is the method. I think this is going to get done. There's also been ITKs now on the Leicester side saying the fee is going to be a range of £9 million. Absolutely fine with that. He has got 1 year left in his contract, but absolutely fine with that. As I said yesterday as well, in yesterday's video, if you didn't miss it, James Justin had a 4 out of 5 stars for his opportunity of becoming a Leeds player. I thought it was really likely. I thought it all matched up. And it looks like it's progressing and progressing and progressing. But in terms of James Justin as an actual player, of course, 27 years old, played 99 times in the Premier League. So hopefully, all being well, he'll be playing his 100th game this season in a Leeds shirt. Proven Premier League experience, played for England. Versatility, I mentioned on yesterday's video, he's fantastically versatile. He's played at left back, he's played at right back, he's played at centre back in a back three, I think even for England. He actually genuinely can do the lot, and he's as good. Like he was playing in the Leicester team, I believe, when they were challenging for Europe at left back. So it's not like he's a right back that can just fill in at left back. He's actually pretty efficient at left back as well. So at £9 million for a player that's 27, still in the peak of his powers, 99 appearances. Injury record, I know people will look back to his sort of 2021, I think 22 season when he got an Achilles tendon injury that put him out for basically all the season. But since then, he hasn't really had any issues. And it's not like, do you know when we talked about Calvert-Lewin where he had like the hamstring injury that was obviously always causing him issues? It isn't like that with James Justin. I think he's missed 2 games in like the last 2 seasons through injury. So injury record looks bob on. Premier League experience, 27, nice price point, can play left back, can play right back. What is there not to like about this signing? I genuinely please, if you don't want James Justin, and I'm not saying he's like a needle mover or he's like going to break the bank or he's going to change and revolutionise Leeds United season, but for what we need as a right back that can cover right back and left back, what you can't moan at this, in my opinion. You just cannot moan. As I said, the price point looks good. He's played in the Premier League before, 99 appearances. He's played for England. He's played in multiple positions at a high level. His injuries stack up. There is nothing not to like. So for me, this gets a fat tick. It just makes sense. So yeah, really happy with that one. And my expectation is that this will get done as well, which is another key bonus as well. So yeah, I've got genuinely no negatives about that signing, I think. Bob on. Anyway, moving on to Noah Okafor of AC Milan. Obviously reported yesterday by Beren Cross again that Leeds United were looking at Okafor. That looks like it's slightly progressed. There was a report going around that Bologna had bidded €15 million for him, so about £13 million. That's actually, I think that's now come out as not true. The reported fee that they're looking for is in the region of 10 million euros. They do want a permanent. I think they've tried loaning him out now, and I think they just want rid of him. Obviously, as well, as we know yesterday, I think a massive thing on this is the situation with Rasmus Højlund. Obviously moving from Manchester United to AC Milan potentially on loan, and I think obviously if Højlund comes in, that will free up the ability for Højlund to move on. So for Højlund to move on, for Okafor, of course, to move on. So yeah, but I quite like this addition. I think he can play across the front line, can cover up front as well when we know we've got 2 injury-prone strikers, and Pro for me won't work in the Premier League. I don't think I've talked about that enough. I just don't think Pro will work in terms of a team out of possession, and we're going to be out of possession so much. So Okafor, the ability to play sort of up front and cover on the left-hand side. And I think for the 10 million euros, the quoted price tag, and this is from multiple Italian reports, there's a guy who's called Antonio Vitilio, who's confirmed the interest as well and sort of talked about this. And he works for like Gazzetta dello Sport, and I think he works for an AC Milan newspaper as well. They're relatively reliable. We always know with the Italian reports, he's not probably as bang to rights as sort of Beren Cross and The Athletic and David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano, although he's Italian. But I think he's slightly different, obviously, as well. But yeah, my feeling on this is that I do think the Højlund one will push AC Milan to get rid of Okafor, and I think that will move quite quickly. And I think the reverse effect for Leeds will be that potentially the Okafor moves quite quickly as well, which should be fantastic, because I think he'd be quite a nice addition for us in the front line. He's not the statement signing that we need, but again, adding more depth. This is a huge thing for the Premier League, remember. It's not just about your starting 11, it's about what you can offer as your backup. So when someone gets injured, we can't have Jack Harrison going in and playing the left-hand side. So the ability for Okafor to come in or start and then bring Nonto and Ramazani as your sort of other options on the left-hand side, that looks pretty strong to me. So yeah, Okafor looking like it's moving quite nicely. And my opinion is, I do expect Okafor to move, and I won't be surprised actually if he does turn up at Leeds. Don't have him as quite as high as James Justin, as you can see on my right hand side. Again, I've currently got him as a 3 out of 5 on the signing scale rating. I think he is relatively likely. And now, so one of them, surprisingly, and I probably shouldn't be like this, and maybe people are going to slag me off in the comments, and that's fine. Illan Meslier. So Meslier, potentially from our favourite Joe Donahue, and he's potentially become even more of a favourite of mine, obviously, former of the YEP. He said that Meslier will be available for around £5 to £6 million, and Leeds have been sort of panning him out to different clubs going, do you want to buy Meslier? And surprisingly, clubs have been going, no, I don't. He's garbage. He was one of the worst keepers in the Championship last year. No, I don't want him. Lille apparently have rejected it. I think PSG have looked, and I think will probably pull out of it as well. Although I do think Meslier will leave this summer. My opinion on it is that he will either go to a lower French league club, or maybe like the second division in France. I don't think he'll go that low, actually. And I think he'll go for half the price point that we're located there. I'm looking at sort of 2 to 3 million for Meslier. I think that's where we're going to be at. It's a weird one with Meslier though, isn't it? Because I get why now we're in the situation where we're going to move him on, and that's a good decision in my opinion, of course, because he's our third choice keeper now, and I'm glad sort of that Fark obviously said that. But from where he was, like after that first season where he finished 9th, to where he's come to now, it is sort of crazy, isn't it? Like he had that second season obviously in the Premier League that wasn't as good. I still think at that point, Leeds fans were not hugely blaming Meslier. I think there was a sort of feeling that the way Bielsa was playing was an issue, and then the Marsh appointment was an issue, and the squad wasn't good enough at that point, which obviously was the case. And I don't think Meslier got potentially so much blame at that moment, but I think now we are coming to see that sort of actually did make quite a lot of mistakes when we look back. And then obviously the third year again, it went pretty horribly wrong, didn't it? Obviously ended up getting dropped for Robles at the end of that season. And then you think, well, maybe if he goes back to the Championship, like what's happened with Dan James, where it hadn't quite worked for him, you think maybe when he gets to the Championship, it might just all sort of like come back to him, and it might the easier, and the fact that he won't have to make as many saves might work for Meslier, and we might see that sort of the form that we thought we had. Because this is a guy, by the way, that at one point after that first season in the Premier League, like Man United was sniffing around him, Man City were, I believe, PSG, loads of top clubs were looking at Meslier because he was so young for how many clean sheets he was getting. I think he got the most clean sheets ever for someone under 20 years old or something like that. There was a stat around that I remember at the time. Now, obviously, we should have sold him in that moment, but I get why we didn't, because obviously his stock was so high and we actually thought at that point we had a really good goalkeeper on our hands. But as I said, I'm just surprised at how badly it's gone. Like, it's just been such a, like, it was a systemic rise, wasn't it, since Bielsa came in. And then since he's left, it's just been like, we're not talking like a little scope. We're not talking like, if anyone knows the Yorkshire Three Peaks, we're not talking about a Whernside drop. We're talking like we're dropping off a whole cliff here and we're just going like this. Like, it's just absolutely car crashed, sort of down to the ground, really. And yeah, I don't know. What I'm going around with this is that I just didn't expect from where we were in the first year under Bielsa, when we finished 9th, to us to be now here. What I will say about Meslier, though, what a first appearance he had. Do you remember the Arsenal away game when he was sort of like switching it long, and it was just like, this keeper has the best distribution ever in world football? But yeah, that's the story of Meslier. It will be nice to move him on, I've got to be honest. He's a player that, like, I don't know, he's just caused me so many nightmares, especially last season. Like, I'm still in my head thinking, I don't even know, would have gone up if we'd have carried on playing him. We probably would have done, but I don't know, like that Swansea game last year when he dropped one, didn't he, for the first goal, and then a simple shot that went into the far corner in the 95th minute he couldn't save. Wow, that was thank God we're not there, eh? So when everyone moans about what's going on now with Leeds United, I'm like, yeah, but lads, look where it could have been. Do you know what I mean? Crazy stuff. Anyway, I digress, because there is a few, as I said at the start of the video, there's a few also holes or nibbits, other things to pick up on, other stories that we've looked at in the past and are basically now dying. And that is, of course, Nico González. Now, as everyone knows with Nico González, Graham Smith said last weekend, Leeds United is one of the Leeds United targets, which I was like, VP, because his time at Fiorentina was really good. I think he got like 12 goals in the Serie A last year. Hasn't really worked out for Juventus, but that's happened to certain players. I mean, it hasn't worked out for Douglas Luiz for Juventus. So I don't think that's a sign that he's all terrible. And I think what probably subtle more is that Atletico Madrid are now looking at him. So that's probably off the table, isn't it, if we're being honest? Oh, well. So yeah, that's another target anyway that Leeds United are probably not going to get now, as reported by Romano yesterday. He is in exclusive talks with Atletico Madrid. So that's probably the end of that saga. No Nico González to Leeds, unfortunately, because that would have been a nice one. But oh well. And the other one as well, Bilal Khannouss. My feeling on Khannouss, if I'm being totally honest, obviously we think that his release clause expired last night. But with his release clauses, truthfully, I never know. Because, I mean, like, look at what happened with Gibbs White. You think his release clause being triggered, Marinakis pulls some court case out, and then he ends up staying. So you never know what's going to happen with these release clauses anymore, I don't feel like. But apparently his release clause did expire last night. Leeds United didn't pull the release clause. We said they were gonna, they didn't do. I think what happened with Khannouss, I think what is sort of going on with Khannouss is something that I've said over the last few days, which is that I think he potentially will come to Leeds. Potentially, but I don't even know about that anymore. But I think it's getting to a point now where he's just like, his agent's still going around other clubs hoping that stuff will happen. Like, we know Spurs are now going to go for Eze potentially, but if they go for Eze, then he might end up getting the Crystal Palace move, who of course are still in Europe this year. Have been knocked down from Europa to the Conference League, so that's still an option there. And I just think that he's waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And I think if we were to ever sign Khannouss, which I don't think we're going to do, it would be like deadline day, where he's got like no other options. It's like, do you stay with Leicester or do you go to Leeds? I know there has been apparently an offer for Khannouss from Aston Villa, so there's another club interested, but they're currently, I don't think they've got any money to spend, so they're on an option to buy basis with him, basically, where they're going, look, we'll buy you next summer. Which obviously won't work for Leicester because they need money to compete with their PSR. It's the same reason like when we were going mad when we got relegated. Why would you just loan a load of players when you need to sell them to be able to bring other players in? I think that's where Leicester are obviously at, because I think they've only brought Begovic in so far this summer. So I don't think that's going to be a mover unless Villa change their stance, which I don't think they're going to do because they ain't got any money. So that's potentially off the table for Khannouss. But I think he's just playing the long game, and I just don't think he wants to come to Leeds. To be honest, I think he probably thinks that we're going to potentially go down, and I think he obviously rates us high. And I'm not saying we are going to go down, but I think from El Khannouss' position, obviously probably that's what he thinks, and he wants to play in Europe and explore other challenges. He's obviously just been in a relegation battle with Leicester as well, where they did end up going down. So I don't think it's a goal, to be honest. I think we had sort of early chats, which is obviously when he got leaked, when Sasha and Santi FM sort of tweeted out saying that we'd had these talks and everyone went mad and it was meant to be a 24.5 million release clause and it was fantastic. And it's just, I feel like if it was going to happen, it probably would have done by now. I just don't think he's interested in the possibility of coming, to be honest. Although I think that does sort of round into a sort of roundabout point with the number 10 situation, because I think we are dying out for a number 10, in my opinion. And I just don't see it mentioned enough. Like, I think there's this understanding that this 4-3-3 with Tanaka and maybe, I don't know, Stack and Ampadu as your midfield three, or Longstaff in one of that. I think Stack will definitely play, but Longstaff, Tanaka and Ampadu, whatever it will be, is a fine thing. Is a fine midfield. I just think that's going to be too defensive. And I don't think our wingers are good enough. Like, if we'd have brought a Pajau in, for example, I think he's so good, Pajau, that he could have probably done stuff on his own. I don't think our wingers are going to be good enough to be able to carry the team. And I don't think DCL is going to be enough to be able to carry the team on his own. So I don't see how we can play a flat three midfield. And I think we've seen this in pre-season already, by the way. Like I mentioned yesterday, the amount of shots that we've had. Like, we had 4 shots against Man United playing that system. We had 5 shots against Villarreal. And we had 9 shots against AC Milan. So it is going up. But even if you look at the goals that we scored, like the Villarreal goal, he's a ball into the box and it's like bumbling around and Perot gets his foot on it and scores. It's not a clean goal. And Stacks, for me, is probably a cross that ends up in the back of the net. So neither of them are clean goals. So, and I'm wondering if that's probably going to be a microcosm of the season. I don't want to be too negative, but I'm wondering if that's going to be a microcosm of the season where we're just not going to create enough chances, which is why I think the likes of an El Khannouss coming in is so important. Because I think he would obviously help with the creative burden that we currently don't, or the lack of creation that we currently don't have in the team, in my opinion. But yeah, that's why it's disappointing that obviously El Khannouss isn't going to come. But I just think that Leeds United have to prioritise getting number 10. I think it's almost playing with our survival hopes, to be honest. I think if you get a good number 10, really good chance. I think without a number 10, it's going to be really difficult. Because you've got to. We were obviously this is weird talk because in the Championship last year we scored tons of goals, but the level is just outrageous now in the Premier League. Like, you look at some of where these centre halves are going. Like, even look at say PSG and sort of the signs they've made, like Bournemouth's defence. And one of their defenders this is a Bournemouth team, by the way, who did concede goals last year, quite a lot of them. Like, they weren't like an outstanding defence anyway. Is what I'm trying to say. One of their centre halves has gone to Real Madrid, Dean Howson. And the other one's now gone to PSG. And this is a Bournemouth team who are mid-table. So without a number 10, how we're going to unlock the doors of these defences, I just think that's quite... I don't know. I would worry about that, to be honest. So yeah, I think we've got to get a number 10. But I think there is 10s out there. Like, I wouldn't mind having a punt on Jack Radone, and I wouldn't mind having a punt on Gustavo Hamer. I really wouldn't. I think either of them are good options, and potentially get both. Like, Jack Radone's reported fees around about 15 million that Coventry want, which I think we can obviously pay. And Hamer, I think there was reports that he might be like less than 20 million as well. So I do think there are options. And I think we're going to have to get at least one, number 10, because I just don't see... Brendan Aronson works hard and he's a good presser and he's sort of an honest guy and all that sort of stuff. That's fantastic. But in terms of someone who's going to pick the lock of a defence, he's not that guy, in my opinion. So we're going to need someone that's going to be able to do that. And obviously El Khannouss was probably that. But yeah, and I think Buonanotte probably was as well. But we're not going to get them anymore. So I think we've got to find one. I think it's so important. But yeah. Anyway, that is the video. I hope you've enjoyed the video, as always. Hopefully we'll get some better news over the weekend, obviously. And hopefully some great updates. But James Justin, great positive today. Really good addition, in my opinion, if that gets to the line, which I do think it will happen. But yeah, thanks all for watching. if you enjoyed the video, please drop a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Massively helps the channel and helps me, because this subscriber count on this side is live. So, you know, if you subscribe while I'm filming this, it would fly up. So if you could help that and get us over 575 subscribers, that would be fantastic. But yeah, thanks all for watching, and I will catch you all later. Bye for now, everybody. Bye for